Jungkook, a man of quiet solitude and a successful introvert, had recently married to YN, a woman who was his complete opposite. YN, a cheerful and loving extrovert, found joy in every corner of life and loved expressing her feelings openly. Their love story was a beautiful but often challenging, dancing between two different worlds. They had just recently gotten married, and as they started their new life together, they were still navigating the vast unspoken space between Jungkook's need for distance and YN's overwhelming need for closeness. The morning sun, golden and warm, painted stripes across their bed. YN stretched, a blissful sign escaping her lips as she turned to face Jungkook. He was still sound asleep, a lock of his dark hair falling over his forehead. His lips slightly parted. He looked so utterly peaceful, so young and innocent. A soft, familiar wave of love washed over her. It was a love that felt as comfortable as a woman's sweater. A love that had grown over the years into something deep and quiet and sure. She gently leaned in, pressing a light kiss to his cheek. It was a simple, everyday act for her. A small piece of her heart gave him freely. YN, good morning, sleepyhead. She whispered, her voice soft hum. She didn't expect a full conversation. He wasn't a morning person. Just a little acknowledgement, a little sign that he knew she was there. Jungkook, morning YN. His voice was a low morning rumble, a sound that always made her heart flutter. He didn't open his eyes, but his arm snaked out, pulling her closer until she was nestled against him. For a moment, just that one perfect moment, she felt completely, utterly loved. She closed her eyes, breathing in the scent of him, a mix of clean laundry and his quite unique earthy smell. She knew these moments were rare, that his natural instinct was to keep a small distance, to retreat into his own world. So, when he initiated a touch, even in his sleepiness, her heart swelled with a quite overwhelming joy. It was a little victory, a small crack in the wall he often had up. She lay there for a minute, just soaking in the quiet warmth of him, before the real world began to call. The clock on the bedside table showed it was a time to get up, to start the day. Reluctantly, she slipped out of his embrace and began her morning routine, humming a cheerful tune. She loved this part of the day, the quiet shared space before the chores of work took over. It was their own little bubble, and in it, she felt like they were the only two people in the world. As she padded out of the room to start the coffee, she glanced back at him, still dozing peacefully. She smiled at herself, a little ache in her chest that was both sweet and sad. She loved him so much, but sometimes it felt like she was the only one in their relationship who was fighting to be close. The thought was just a fleeting whisper, though Angie pushed it away. She was determined to have a good tea, to not let a little insecurity get in the way of her happiness. When Jungkook was finally ready to leave, dressed in his work clothes, his quiet presence filled the living room. YN, who was just finishing her coffee, watched him from the kitchen. This was her favorite part. It was her chance to give him a piece of her energy, her love, to carry with him throughout the day. She walked over to him, her heart already reaching out. YN, have a great day at work, JK. I will be counting down the minutes until you come back. She wrapped her arms around his waist, pulling him into a tight hug. She felt his body stiffen, a familiar tense in his shoulders that always sent a tiny sharp pang through her. He never really hugged her back with the same force. It was always a light pat on her back, a slight stiffening of his shoulders. She tried to tell herself it was just his nature, that he was an introvert, not that he didn't want her touch. It was a story she had told herself 100 of times. Jungkook, you too, YN, I will see you later. His voice was polite but distant. He gently pulled away from her, giving her a quick, almost awkward pat on the back before heading for the door. It was a pat, not a squeeze. A release, not an embrace. The difference, though small, felt like a chasm to her. YN, be careful on the road. She called out after him, her smile a little less brightened than before. She watched him leave, the door clicking shut with a finality that ached in the sudden quiet. A small shadow of disappointment settled over her, heavy and cold. She stood there for a moment, her hands falling to her sides, her heart aching with unfamiliar loneliness. She knows he wasn't a big hugger, wasn't one for grand gestures, but sometimes she wished for just a little more. A hug that was returned with the same love she gave. A lingering touch that said he missed her already. A promise that he had be back soon. She sang a deep heavy sound that seemed to fill the silent house. She walked back to the kitchen, the mug of coffee now cold in her hands. She knew her love was sometimes a lot, that her heart was an open, messy book, while his was a carefully locked journal. She had spent the entire relationship trying to read between the lines, to decipher the small gesture and quiet moments as proof of his love. But moments like this made it so hard. The quiet pat on the back, the almost rush to away. It felt like it was a rejection. YN, am I too much? She whispered to the empty room, the question hanging in the air. Am I too clingy? The thought was a sharp, painful one. She had to believe that one day he could open to her, just a little. The distance she felt wasn't a permanent part of the relationship, but just a part of who he was. She forced a small smile onto her face and started to clean the kitchen, but the morning warmth was slowly fading from her heart, replaced by a quiet ache. She spent the rest of the morning trying to shake off the lingering feeling of the too quick pat on the back, the feeling that she had been a little too much, a little too soon, that maybe, just maybe, he felt it too. It was a nagging doubt that she could have to carry with her all day, a small, sad secret she couldn't share with anyone, especially not with him. The sound of a key turning in the lock was YN's favorite sound in the world. It was the signal that her husband, her quite distant Jungkook, was home. She practically flew from the coach to the front door, her face lightening up with a genuine, unfiltered joy. YN, you are home. I missed you so much. How was your day? She exclaimed, her arms already reaching for him. Jungkook, I am home, YN. My day was long and exhausting. She pulled away, her eyes sparkling with concern. Oh, honey, let me get you a glass of water. You must be exhausted. She wanted to fix his tiredness, to erase the stress of his day with her love. She walked to the kitchen, a spring in her steps, despite his lukewarm reception. She wanted to make his evening as comfortable and peaceful as possible. She grabbed a glass and filled it with the ice water, her movements quick and loving. They had a quiet dinner with YN trying to fill the silence with stories from her day. A funny thing a co-worker said, a new idea she had for a project. Jungkook listened, offering a polite hum or that's good every now and then, but his eyes were a million miles away. His presence was in the room, but his mind was not. She could feel the invisible wall he had built around himself after a long day of being an extrovert in a job he didn't love. She just wished she knew how to break through it. The silence stretched on, and Vaien's voice grew softer, her stories feeling less interesting as the minutes passed. The quiet of dinner was over as Jungkook got up to go to their bedroom. Vaien's heart gave a little nervous flutter. The silence between them felt heavy, and she wanted to fill it with something, anything that felt like love. She wanted to break through his wall, even for a second. She walked over to him, her voice soft but firm, a mix of hope and desperation. Vaien, hey Jiki, before you go to the bathroom. He stopped and looked at her, his expression a mix of curiosity and slight impatience. He didn't say anything, just waited for her to speak. Vaien's shyness crept up on her, but she pushed it down. It seemed to throw him off completely, his eyes widened slightly, and he took a small step back, as if she had just startled him with a loud noise. The reaction, though small, felt like a slap in the face. Jungkook, Vaien, what was that? His voice was low, and she couldn't tell if it was a genuine surprise or annoyance. The coldness in his tone made her heart sink.